It's probably no surprise that I'd be talking about frogs in some way, if you look around the room. And you probably read that while it was up there, but we're going to be talking about frogs and how they've made their way into our culture and why they're popular. So Kermit obviously is the first one to talk about. He's my hero. Okay.
Down.
Okay, Jim Henson introduced Kermit in 1955. His name wasn't Kermit, his name was Sam. That's him next to Jim Henson there. It was a small TV station, local DC TV station that they were on for a couple of years. And it was Sam and Friends was the show. And then when Sesame Street started, they invited Jim Henson to bring his puppets to Sesame Street, which he did. He came up with Muppets as putting marionettes and puppets together. This is Sam. He's from the National Museum of History. That's Jim and his wife Jane. They went to, oh yeah, Kermit was featured on the first episode of Saturday Night Live, which I didn't know until recently, so I thought that was pretty cool. So he was a guest speaker at a number of college graduations. Southampton College in 1996, and just this year at Maryland University of Maryland. And they have a statue of Jim Henson and Kermit because they graduated from that university. They met there, graduated there together, started their business together. There was a Frog Day. He's a Peabody winner. 70th anniversary of the television debut of Kermit and the Muppets, and they honored him, proclamation from the state of California. He was Frog of the Year in 1998.
How is he not Frog of the Year?
I know.
What were the frogs of the other years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a Muppet thing. So the proclamation celebrates the sharing of the beloved and iconic character with audiences around the world who have been educated, entertained, and touched by the unique and engaging personality Kermit presents to his numerous fans. He's been in, obviously, a whole bunch of movies. The Muppet Christmas Carol, if you've never seen it, you have to watch it. There was a group of editors who took the 5 most popular Christmas Carol movies, Albert Sims and George, I'm going to lose my memory on all this.
C. Scott.
George C. Scott, Albert Finney, and they compared them in many different categories, true to the book, character development, just a lot of different categories, and they came up with Muppet Christmas Carol as being the most true to the book, which was awesome. Other movies, Frog and the Prince, of course. This movie is hysterical. It's a horror movie called Frogs, and they show a man in a corner of a room, and he's terrified because there's 100 of little frogs jumping around. And that was like, oh! And then there was one frog going round and round on the record player. It was terrifying. So that was pretty fun. Jim Henson advanced philanthropy and puppetry in many different ways. Going from one person and one puppet to a lot of puppeteers working together to different sizes of puppets. When most people before this used a puppet, when there was no physical relationship between the mouths, and when they were done talking, the mouth was away. But Henson changed it so that when they're done talking, the mouth was closed, because that's how people speak. When you're done, your mouth is closed. And before, nobody really thought about that, so he changed that. There's 3 people working, 2 puppets there. He designed a way to be underwater, like that's actually Kermit in a boat in water. That's actually Kermit riding a bike. He came up ways with to do all of those things. There's different kinds of puppets. There's Kermit, which is a rod puppet. Your hand is in Kermit, and then you have very small rods that you can't see that are attached to his hands. So your other hand is working his hands while you're working his mouth. That's a rod puppet. Live hand puppets are sleeve puppets, are like Cookie Monster, where your arm, your strong arm goes up to the mouth, and then your other arm goes in a sleeve that works the hand. So you're still working both the mouth and the hand. It's called a sleeve puppet, and then they have their huge puppets, Sweetums, Big Bird, Snuffleupagus. They're generally one person. Snuffleupagus is 2 people, but Big Bird, you can see where the man's head is. So his head would be about here, and then the rest goes up high, and he had to wear a headset that moved the head, moved the mouth, and controlled while his arms were moving the hands and his feet. And he had 2 little teeny tiny peek holes, so he couldn't really see where he was walking, what he was doing. So it took a lot of practice, a lot of timing to get it right. Same thing with Sweetums here. This is Jim Henson wearing a headset for the vocals. And Kermit's, you can see the rods, little thin rods here. Kermit and Miss Piggy. And Ernie is a sleeve puppet that took 2 people. One, and then one here. And Bert was a rod, there's a smaller rod there. And they're there, they're not frogs, but we're gonna get into why they're there. So he was very popular. He had his own show, of course, but he was a guest star on many talk shows. A lot of famous people wanted to be on his show. It was the kind of thing where famous people would call up and say, "Can I be on an episode?" Incredibly famous people have been on his different shows. Give me the name.
Seth MacFarlane?
Yes, Seth MacFarlane does this bit. If you've never seen it, look it up. Where he does the
Taken.
He does Taken from my memories.
The monologue from Taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Kermit's voice, and it's hysterical. I could possibly do it, but if you haven't seen it, you should look it up. The only one you probably recognize is Brennan. He had to do, it's Make Some Noise, he had to do Kermit defending himself from murder in Kermit's voice. So that was on that show. Awards, Webby Award for voice acting. He won some music awards, Rainbow Connection, Not Easy Being Green, Grandma's Feather Bed. John Denver wrote that song for Kermit for that show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Academy Award nominations for those songs. A lot of famous people who wanted to be with him. And there's so many more. I tried to choose ones that you would probably recognize, but there's so many who wanted to be on the show.
Is that Kurt Cobain? The top left? Kind of looks like Kurt Cobain.
I think
John.
that's
I think that's
John.
John.
Oh,
No,
John
that's not
Hudson. Okay.
Sorry.
Kermit received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2002. There, dry mouth. Another very famous, very popular pair of frogs is Frog and Toad. They're valued by experts. They have the Caldecott Honor Awards, Caldecott Medal. I have a pile of them there that you can look through. So Frog and Toad are the same sex. They love each other. Lobel was a closet gay man for much of his life. He came out to his family 4 years following the first book of the series, and he said, yes, they are gay, yes, they are lovers, yes, they live together, which didn't get nearly the reaction that Ernie and Bert gets. So many different books, Frog and Toad books. This series, I have one of these. They're textless books, so as you read them with your child, you and your child can make up the story. It can be different every time because you're just looking at the pictures and making it up as you go. And Froggy's very popular. There's tons of those. Wide-mouthed frog. So they do frogs in books. There's a World Frog Day. There actually is. It's March 20th, 2025. If you want to be prepared, 2026, April 28th will be World Frog Day. So, get your decorations ready.
Is there a rule for that? Is it like the third Saturday after the second full moon of the...
That I would have to look up. So I'll give you a second to read, so I have to read it all out. So science. The smallest toad frog is a Panamanian golden frog. The largest is the Goliath frog.
Oh,
Picture of a frog.
that's
eating
not real.
tongue. Oh yeah, it is. All toads are frogs, but not all frogs are toads. Frogs are not slimy. Toads do not give you warts. Frogs have been found frozen completely solid, and after being carefully thawed, they're perfectly alive and healthy. And frog eats things that bug you, so they have value. There's many games based on frogs, and I have the one upper right, I have the one in the middle, I have pocket frogs, I have Frogger, lots of games. So I won't spend too much time on it, as you know, the basic differences between them. This difference in their skin, mostly on land, mostly in the water, mostly hop or walk, can jump very far. So frogs reproduce through external fertilization. The male frog fertilizes the eggs that have been laid and released by the female in the water. Tadpoles are the aquatic larval state of the toads. So I'm sure everybody knows this. You start as a tadpole, and as your tail is sucked up, the nutrients are sucked into the body. The legs come out, and by the time the tail is gone, the front legs have come out. So he's using his tail. So this is strange, a little gross. Female releases 60 to 100 eggs. The male fertilizes them, pushes them onto her back where they stick there, and then her skin grows over the eggs and protects them until they're ready to pop out and be tadpoles. So that's cool but gross.
Weirdly gross as a member of a species who also grows the child inside the mother. I don't know why I'm just like, ew. But
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Makes you think that hand thing we were talking about, the needle with the holes.
oh,
So frogs and toads are an early indication that an ecosystem is in danger. Frogs are actually very important to scientists studying rainforests and different habitats. if there's something wrong with the habitat, frogs die first. If frogs are dying in that area, there's something wrong in that area, and then you have to look and find out what is it. So they study frogs, they pay attention to how they're doing. This is an endangered frog, he's the scrotum frog. This
For
one,
obvious
you can
reasons.
actually see the baby frog in his mouth. Some of the males carry the babies in their mouths. You can see his little eyes here. So they take the eggs into their mouths. This is the gastric brooding frog, which is extinct. They take the eggs into their mouths and they have sacs on the side to protect them, and they stay there till they're ready to hatch, and then they pop out of his mouth. There are a number of extinct amphibians. You know, people talk about a lot of different extinct animals, but I've never really heard anybody talk about extinct frogs and what benefits they might have been given. Why are they going extinct? They're used in testing. They're harvested as food. They're used in biology classes. I don't know if they still dissect frogs in biology classes. We did when I was in high school, and I
Did you
did
decide to dissect a frog yet?
No.
We have an 8th grader who has not yet dissected a frog.
Yeah, I took 0. I wasn't going to do it.
Sometimes they have virtual dissections now. that they throw.
Oh, that's better, yeah, because the kids don't dissect the frog. They make frog sandwiches and stuff. It's disgusting.
Where do the teeth are?
So the species may be affected by fungus and pollutants, and so they study the frogs to watch how they're reacting to their environment. Golden toad, gastric brooding, harlequin frogs have gone extinct. Golden toad was in Costa Rica. Frogs are used in traditional medicine for centuries. In China, frogs are often used in soups and teas, said to have medicinal properties. The green tree frog, for example, can live to 30 years in the wild. Most pet frogs will live a year to 5 years, but it's highly dependent on this species. Merchandise. So, I believe that merchandise tells us how embedded in our society an item, a person, a character is. If there's still merchandise out there being sold, if you're still remembering it, they're pretty deep in our culture. When Benita was a little girl, there was a movie called Fox and the Hound, and they had all these, lunch boxes and stuffed animals and everything, and they ended up having to throw it all out because the movie didn't make a hit, and the merchandise didn't sell, and I might be the only one who remembers that movie.
Yeah, nobody wants a lunchbox of that. That was the saddest thing ever. Who wants to go to lunch and cry before 3rd period every single day?
So there's still Muppet merchandise still being produced, still being sold, even though the show has been off the air for quite a while. There was a new show for briefly that didn't stay on, but Kermit is still very much a part of our culture and our products. If you go on Amazon, it's page after page of frog things. See that giant frog head in the corner there? My grandkids gave me that. So I was sitting in this chair, and Benita and Brent were here talking, and the frog head started to move across the top. And I started to yell, grab the glass, grab the glass. So they grabbed all the vases and everything. Arson likes to sleep in there, and his foot was caught, and so he's going along like this, and so the head was moving across. So it was pretty weird, but it was pretty funny. I'm sure you look around, I have hundreds more frogs than you can see in this room. Some of them are gifts. I'm not completely crazy. So, I don't know if anybody knows Michigan J Frog.
Mm-hmm.
He was a cartoon when we were young. Remember, hello my baby, hello my darling, hello my ragtime gal. A man found a frog who was just sitting there and he started to sing, so he grabbed the frog and he took him to a theater and he sold out, and the frog just sat there and didn't do anything. So he took him out and he started to sing again, and it didn't end well on that one either. This guy, anybody know where he's from?
Rainforest Cafe.
Rainforest Cafe. Cha-cha.
Oh.
Harry Potter had frogs in his, trumpet frogs. There's Rainforest Cafe. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Do you know that old song?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that it has religious tones. The bullfrog was a prophet Jeremiah from the Bible. This is apparently very popular. Hi, how are you? With a strange looking frog. It's called Hi, how are you, Frog? And it's the single most iconic piece of street art in Austin. It's actually in the Bible. These are frogs I have owned. These are aquatic African frogs. They stay in aquariums, and when they eat, they push the food into their mouths as they swim along, so it's really pretty funny. That's a leopard frog. That's a garden toad. You can't keep them in captivity. They don't live. We tried a couple of times. We tried different foods. They would die. It didn't work. So we stopped trying. But one of them I fed a firefly to, and his mouth glowed, and his head glowed, and his throat glowed, and then his stomach, and he just glowed on and off for a while. It was hysterical. This is an Argentinian bullfrog. They are illegal to own, buy, or sell in the United States. I used to have one. Kimberly, somebody brought him into the clinic with Kimberly and said he's sick. Fix him, and they left. And she watched him. He ate. He's fine. He has teeth. He eats live mice. Teeth face backwards. And they never came back. They gave a fake phone number, fake address. They just never came back. So I ended up with that frog. Green tree frogs are the ones that stick to the side, which are really cool and go up and down the glass. Poison dart frogs are pretty much the only frog that could be dangerous to humans. They do have poison on their bodies, so if something eats it, they spit it right out. They might survive. I have this 3 times because we had 3 of this exact same frog at one time. And one morning we went down and we only had 2. The small one was gone. I thought, check the cover. The cover's not tight. I wonder how he got out. So put some books on top. A couple days later we come out and there's only 1 frog. So they are cannibalistic. Frogs will eat other frogs. So I referred to Bert and Ernie before. There was a very big discussion about whether they were gay or not, whether just friends, and people's like, oh, they're just friends, or just 2 guys living together, and but in the magazine Queerty, Mark Saltzman, who did work with Ernie and Bert and was a writer, he said not only did he consider Bert and Ernie to be a gay couple, but he used his own relationship for creative inspiration. He felt himself, he was Ernie, kind of chaotic, and his partner was kind of Bert, kind of calm and cool. So he used his own personal relationship to make Bert and Ernie real, wrote them as a loving couple. Saltzman said that people used to refer to him and his partner as Bert and Ernie. Another one, I have no personal knowledge about sexual feelings of Bert and Ernie, but I did have an on and off affair for several years with Richard Hunt, the very handsome back end of Snugglemuffin. I remember one time he said a preschool in the city turned to Mom and said, "Are Bert and Ernie lovers?" And that, coming from a preschooler, was fun. That got passed around and everyone went back to work. The response from the people in charge said, even though they are identified as male characters and possess many human traits and characteristics, as most Sesame Street puppets do, they remain puppets and do not have a sexual orientation. His famous songs, It's Not Easy Being Green, Someday We'll Find a Rainbow Connection, all of his character, all of his movies, his books, his songs, they're all about knowing you, knowing yourself, liking yourself, helping other people, being there for other people, being compassionate, and that's why he's my hero. There's the Muppets. And I think that was the end. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so please forgive me for the more of a comment than a question, but as someone who was a 12-year-old once, I do have to note that the habitat of the scrotum frog is Lake Titicaca.
Shut up.
Is what?
It's
The habitat of the scrotum frog is apparently Lake Titicaca.
Talmatobius culeus. Only in that basin.
I'd like to show you this. This is a working phone from 1978. No, 1983, I think. We use this until we got the phones, but it's a working phone. This is one of the early flip phones. It's also a working phone. I stuff all around. This is the one from 1978. Got it at a garage sale. Very excited to find this. Here are all the, not all, here are some of the Froggy books. And a lot of these characters are meant to be educational. So here's a count ad by Froggy. This guy is from Puerto Rico. He's called the Coqui. So I have a lot of books because I use them in lessons in the classroom.
Okay.
I have a lot of the, oh yeah, I want to mention this one. I forgot to mention, Frog and Toad Are Doing Their Best. This is new that's just come out. And it's excellent. It's in the voice of, it's in the voice of Frog and Toad. It follows their characters, their voice, their pattern of speech, their relationship so very well. And it's all modern topics that modern kids might be facing. So you're free to look through the books. There are tons of them.
Or modern adults might be facing. Mom, would you like to do a dramatic reading of one of the Frog and Toad Are Doing Their Best? Is that what you were going to ask?
No.
Okay.
Why don't you ask?
Oh, I just had a photo that I wanted to share with you of my costume for a party once.
See, you could have worn that today.
If anyone wants to see.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Whoop.
I don't know where it is today. I don't think I still have it.
Yeah. So as someone who has kept a wide variety of kinds of frogs, if someone were interested in if someone were interested in having a pet frog, what kind would you recommend as like a first?
I think the quiet frog was my first. The only difficulty with that is the same with the fish tank filters and aerators and things like that. Green frogs are awesome because they clean inside and they're just a lot of fun to watch. Pretty much anyone.
The aquatic frogs have the advantage of they'll eat tetramin fish food. The other frogs, you have to have live food for them. Crickets and
Yeah.
crickets and mealworms.
Right.
Other frogs.
Frogs.
Yeah.
Anyone would be great. Yes.
So I noticed that you had mentioned that Kermit gave the commencement at the University of Maryland. Did you talk to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to see if they were upset that the Terps, who are the mascot of Maryland, were they upset that a frog would step in a place where a turtle should probably have been?
Well, for all we know, turtles have done it already, and they needed something different.
Also, they haven't graduated college.
Because they're teenagers, yeah.
And they're not the best role models.
Maybe
Kermit's a role model. Anything else? Thank you for listening.